Eli, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we just use this. Okay, over to you.
Oh, I didn't hear you till now. Okay. Sorry. Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I should start now?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Fine. Sorry. Okay, my name is Eli Adler. I was born in the United States, and I live today in the community of Shlomit in Chalutza in the Negev, in the western Negev. It's like between the Gaza Strip border and the Egyptian border. And this community was established right after the disengagement plan in 2005. And my family and I were evacuated from Gush Katif after we lived for 15 years in Gush Katif. The community of Shlomit is a young community, and there are about 80 families on the community. So I want to make the long story short. On Simchat Torah, Shabbat, last Shabbat morning, about 6:30 in the morning, you were hearing these like strong noises. At the beginning, my two sisters were visiting us for the Chag, and we thought maybe there was like thunders and it was going to rain or something like that. But then the noises got stronger, and we understood. We heard a siren that we had to go to the safety room. And a few minutes after that, there was a very, very strong explosion, which turned later on to be a rocket that fell between two houses in our community. There were already men that went for the first minyan to shul, a Vatikin minyan, and then started like the voices and the news started to come in, and we have like a defense group on our community, and part of them were davening, praying in the first minyan, and the commander of this security group, he got the message that in another community, which is about 8 minutes away from us, which is called Prigan. We belong to three religious Dati communities, Naveh, Bnei Netzarim, and Shlomit, which were established right after the disengagement plan. But most of the communities in our area are secular, not religious. And one of these communities in our area, his name is Prigan. And then he got the information that over 10 terrorists came on motorcycles into the Prigana community, and they're shooting all over. And right away, Benny, who was the commander of this group, he told the other guys, "Okay, who's coming with me to Prigan?" And the people they didn't think twice. They got organized. Each one of them got into its car, and they jumped home, and they brought their rifles and with the ammunition, and they started going ahead to the Prigan community. Once they Hello, am I fine now?
Yeah, welcome back.
Okay, sorry. I'm really sorry. So I'm going to continue. So then they reached the community of Prigan, and would turn like a very big terror attack, and they came like one after the other, and they started fighting back and shooting all over. Baruch Hashem, we can say we know today that they saved the whole community from like a massacre, like we saw in other communities, and the zchut of this group of people who didn't think twice, and they, even though there were other closer communities that could have come there, but they were the first ones who reached there, and there was no army, no help for hours later on, and they were the ones they were like had a shooting battle between them and the terrorists, and they really saved the whole community. Baruch Hashem, no one from this community Prigan was hurt or killed in these hours. And but unfortunately, two of our boys and fellows, married boys from our community that were part of this protecting group, they were shot during this battle, and Aviad Cohen and his friend Reuven Shishportish, which will be buried tonight. They were both killed on this battle. There were altogether about 8 men. Another 4 of them were badly injured. Boaz, Michael, and Oz and Yuda. They were injured. Baruch Hashem, they're getting better now. But unfortunately, we lost 2 of our great friends of our community. In the same time, 2 other members of Shlomit, Uriel Bibi, who was a lieutenant in the army. He was called to come right away to his base and to be part of the fighting against the attacks. He left his home, took his equipment with him, and at the same time, another fellow, which his name is Bechor, he was in a moshav by his parents, and he heard on his phone the call of the group, the security group, and he decided he's leaving his parents' moshav, and he's coming with his car to be part of the fighting in Prigan. Unfortunately, both of them, Uriel and Bechor, that's what we knew later on, because for 2 days, we didn't know where they were. They disappeared. And we were sure, and once the hours passed, we were sure they were kidnapped, and we didn't know anything about them. But Baruch Hashem, I say now Baruch Hashem, because we had a lot of bad imaginations about what happened to them. But later on, they found their car, and they found them later on. And what happened was they got one of the main roads in our area. This was it was took over by Hamas, and whoever passed in that area was shot, and they lost their lives in that area. So for the last days, from a happy and quiet community of 80 families, we lost 4 men, and unfortunately left with 4 widows with children, with homes which were built in their communities, which is not so simple for us. So still tonight we have two more funerals to go to. We are going through difficult days altogether, which with all which is happening in the state of Israel. But still, what I want to say, on one hand, it's a tragedy, but on the other hand, people feel very lighted, and that these men, they didn't think twice, and they went ahead, and they were also they went with the ability and the will and the option of also to sacrifice for other communities, for our brothers here in the area. And this is something which uprises us and makes them very, very special for us. And this is part of a lot of stories which happened throughout these very terrible days that we have here. And we think that, on one hand, we went through a few very, very difficult days, but still, in very much meanings, we are just in the beginning, because we know that things cannot stay this way, and the government is going to have to get very difficult but also strong decisions about our future here. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we very much believe that Israel will get up together on its feet. And we see the high motivation of the soldiers and things that we never saw in the past. And we very much believe that Israel will stand on its feet and will take care, Be'ezrat Hashem, forever, the big problem of the Gaza Strip. And therefore, even though that we paid a very, very big price, we have also optimism about our future, and we hope that the faith and the power of our government will come, and with all the help and the prayers, the tefillot, and all the good thoughts of Jews from all over the world, it gives us a lot of support and strength to continue our mission here in these days. Be'ezrat Hashem. So that was my short message. I'm sorry I have to stop, because unfortunately now all our community was asked by the army to leave the area of Shlomit and Chalutza, and we moved now to Gush Etzion. And this evening at 11:30, now it's a quarter to 11. At 11:30, we have two last funerals of the 4 men of our community that were killed. And I think that after these 2 communities, maybe we will have more time to settle and to calm down and to understand more and more what happened to us. And of course, we have a long way to go through to take care of the widows and their families and the community. Be'ezrat Hashem, we are waiting, and we are optimistic there will be better days. Be'ezrat Hashem. So I hope you heard me, and I am very happy of this connection, and Be'ezrat Hashem, maybe we will find a way to continue this connection between the communities. Okay?
Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, good night.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You say to him, I just want to show you a few. The reason why I felt it was the right thing to do, to hear directly from Rav Eli, is because there is a concept of Imam and Milchi B'tzara, right? That we have to be there. We have to be there, be present in a moment of pain. And we've heard so much, but in a way, this is almost breaking away from the news cycle. This is someone who has been, to share that story of how what they have been through, to hear the strength and the Mesiras Nefesh, the way they managed to literally save another Yeshua, as he explained, at a tremendous cost. So, we've I've been thinking of the fact that we're not actually in the stage now where we're able to process anything. I can only speak for myself, but I think we're all in that stage of it's just deep grief. There isn't yet this ability to sort of comprehend fully what has happened. And because of that, really the words that we can share are only just to share something together, to maybe bring us together, to help perhaps focus us as a kehillah in our tefillas, and some thoughts and ideas perhaps, which I think we'll need a lot of over the coming days. I heard a story today which is perhaps one of the most powerful things I've heard over the last 4 days. I think it's a story that very few people know because it was a story that came out of a beis din in Yerushalayim, and I was only told it today by a dayan who heard it today. There's a young teenager, I don't know exactly how old, 13, maybe 14 years old, approached a beis din in Yerushalayim over the last, perhaps yesterday, even, I'm not sure when, very recently, with the following question. He said that when Hamas burst into the yeshuv or the kibbutz, I'm not sure which one it was, they took him. And they had one mission, one job for him. They told him to go and knock on doors because they knew that people would not open the door, right, for them. And they asked him to go ahead and knock on the doors. And he did it. One house, he had no choice. It was a gunpoint, one house, another house. And he came to the beis din in Yerushalayim, and we know what happened to those people. And he said, how can I do tshuva? How can I do tshuva for what I did? And you hear a story like that, and it hits you. It hits you so hard. It's such a visceral feeling that this young man, what he went through, what he's going through, and I think it's the stories like this that have, again, just as we heard, they have two sides to them: the pain, the terror, the fear, and then we have this man who can go to a beis din and say, "How do I do tshuva?" Because that's our people. That's who we are. That's who we are. We're in this impossible place. And the thought which occurs to me is just hearing these stories and hearing things that are coming out. There's a kinnah that we say on Tisha B'Av, Mi yitain rishi mayim, ve'eni makar noisely, which means, would that my head were water, my eye a fount of flowing tears. This is a kinnah that was written about the martyrdom of kehillas, the destruction of communities. Pick up a Sefer Kinnis and you read the English of this kinnah. We say this every Tisha B'Av. Mi yitain rishi mayim is the kinnah which is most famous about the massacres of the Crusades in 1096. Ramajah, Aspira, this is these kehillas were Magenza, they were massacred, destroyed. And when it comes to, when you look at the words, Eini Yord Mayim, the words say, Al Beis Yisrael Ba'am Hashem Ki Noflu Bechoreh. On the house of Israel and the Am Hashem, the people of Hashem, who have fallen by the sword. Eschalei Tapai V'Ololai, for my slaughtered children and infants, V'Yishishei Koholai, and the venerable elderly people of my congregation. And then we have a word, there's a word in the middle of the kinnah, a sentence in the middle of the kinnah, which talks about how the destruction means that the moments of joy, calm, was transformed into mourning, into destruction. V'sheni b'shmoina boy, b'yom margoya hukra, on the day of tranquility. Yom margoya is the day of tranquility. My calm was transformed into a destructive tempest. The idea that you can have a day, which is, that day had two aspects to it. Shabbos, the day of Margoya, the day of rest, the day of tranquility, and it was also the day of Simcha. Another line in the kinnah, Eini Yord Mayim ki nepach le'evel mashora. Our singer has turned to mourning. Nepach le'evel mashora. That's what's happened. At that day of Simcha, a day which is tremendous Simcha has turned to mourning. We need to recognize this. We need to understand. And yet, you also have to understand that what we are seeing in these days is Mika Amcha Yisrael. Like that boy who came to a beis din and said, asked, how could he do tshuva? You know, we can't comprehend the greatness of our people. We cannot comprehend. We cannot comprehend how you can have people, ordinary people, who are so great, who have such tremendous koyach hanefesh, to hear that story. And without thinking, they go, they drive, they just go and they do what they can. Because that's the greatness of who we are. You look around us, and we're all familiar with this because we see it everywhere, we see what's going on, and we look at the reaction of Klal Yisrael. You look at the way that it's almost automatic. It's unbelievable to watch the way we are genuinely one people. This notion of Am Echad is one. It's one. And we spoke about this on Yom Kippur, and we've all felt it recently, especially how we lack so much achdus. And of course, we asked, why is it a tragedy that brings us together? We ask that, of course we do. And yet we have to take some chizuk from this. We have to take some chizuk from this fact that we can come together as a people, the curve that we have. There's an Netziv in this week's Parsha, which has struck me as just something immensely powerful. The Netziv is going on the words, Zeh Sefer Toldos Odom. Parakeh, Zeh Sefer Toldos Odom. After the Torah has told us, gracious, and the story, Odom and Chava, everything else, everything that's gone on. Zeh Sefer Toldos Odom b'yom Divrei Chizuk Odom. And then Tiv says you find the word Toldos many times in the Torah, not in reference, as we know, it's not always in reference to generation. Toldos can refer to, often refers to the Ma'asim Torah, the things that people do. It's the lives they live. That's what he talks about. That's what Toldos means. Chai Odom, Halichos Chai Odom, he calls it. Chai Odom, the way a person lives, the way their lives play out. That's what Toldos means, generations of the person. He says, this occasion, though, is unique. This is the only time when the word Toldos is accompanied by the word Sefer, by a book. And what is the significance of this word Sefer? The Netziv says that what the focus of this pasuk is telling us is that in one day, so much can happen that it can fill an entire book, fill an entire Sefer. Zeh Sefer Toldos Odom b'yom Divrei Chizuk Odom, on the day the man was created. And everything happened on that day. From the heights of Gan Eden, on that Erev Shabbos, and the fall, to expulsion, it all happens on one day. Zeh Sefer Toldos, it fills an entire Sefer. That's what happens. Because that's what can happen in one day. How much a person can get things wrong? How many things can go wrong in one day? What tragedy can strike? And I look at this in Siv, I looked at this in Siv, and I saw, this is what we've experienced. One day, the terror of one day, and yet then the Siv says something amazing. And the message is, he quotes a Medrash, Parshas Kedoshim, Ben Azai Omer Zeklal Godel B'Torah. This is a great principle in the Torah, this pasuk. So the Netziv is understanding, it would seem, that from the fact, and from what transpires in Sefer Bereshis, we learn the tremendous potential that one day has, what one day can do, how we can transform ourselves. Always two sides. The whole of Parshas Bereshis is Bechira. That's what it is. It's all Bechira. Everything's Bechira, choice. You have a decision. There's been lots of references to animals, calling the terrorists animals. And yes, in a way that's cathartic, but I think it's wrong. And I've said this many times when I go to take groups to Poland and we walk through Auschwitz and everything else, if you call them animals, then you miss the point. They're not animals, they're humans. They're humans. They're humans. Immense evil, but they're humans. Because if you call them animals, you remove the element of free choice, and it is free choice. It is free choice. It's Bechira. And if people can act and behave in such and be so evil, we always have to remind ourselves how great people can be too. The godless of and the greatness of a person. That is the whole of, at least Parshas Bereshis, the whole of Sefer Bereshis. There's choice, there's free choice, there's Bechira. We are in a position at the moment of where there really are genuinely very few words. We're going to hear also from probably Brian afterwards. We're going to hear also Shess and Balls after we say something to him. There really are very few words. But we also know that there are things that we can do. There are things that we can do. This is what we believe. And we sometimes sit there and we're hopeless and we watch the news cycle. And that drop, none of us will forget that drop from, and we felt it. I remember speaking to my father about this. By the time as simple as Torah, it was going out the whole afternoon and then towards Mincha. And then it felt like Erev Tisha B'Av. When Tisha B'Av was a Motzei Shabbos, that's what it felt like, because we all knew. We all knew by then what it was going to be like on Motzei Yom Tov. And we have to break out of that cycle, the cycle of the constant, what's happening, but we need to know there are things we can do. We have to revert to where we are as a people. Shuvah and Tefillah and Tefillah, we are trying our best to come together. We daven, we're continuing to daven. Essential. Of Tefillas Rabbim. And we need to know that every single Tefillah counts, and that Eretz Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, and our soldiers particularly, who we have in our minds all the time now, and they are our soldiers. They are ours. They are ours because they fight for each and every one of us. We certainly onto it. There's no difference, there's no distinction, whether you're here, whether you live there, it makes no difference. Tzedakah. Shuvah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah. Tzedakah as a kehillah, there are so many different things going around. One of the things we'd like to do together as a kehillah, as a campaign which particularly, I think, moved us, and that was the campaign to raise money to buy protective vests for soldiers. Rav Rimon, Yossi Rimon, has put a particular campaign together in order to raise funds to buy these special bulletproof ceramic vests. We'd like to be part of this. He himself took out a loan of, I think, 500,000 shekel personally in order to make sure the orders could be put in. I think that's already been covered, but there's more. And there's a need for more, and we'll send out something afterwards so that as a kehillah, we can come together with that element of stock and do what we can to directly protect lives, save lives. And then there's the element of tshuva. And for this, a thought, an idea, something which I'd like to hope that our kehillah can take on together. This churban, this massacre, took place on Shabbos Kodesh, took place on a Shabbos which was, as we said, a Shabbos of simcha, a Shabbos which should have been only about simcha. And there's been a lot spoken about over recent days about the power of Shabbos and what that can do, what it can bring to us. So, and of course, we move into Shabbos Bereshis, Shabbos via Chuluk. That's what we're moving into. There must be something perhaps about Shabbos. And maybe if as a kehillah, we can do the following thing. There's a beautiful sefer. This sefer called Learn Shabbos in just 3 minutes. That's all it is. Learn Shabbos in just 3 minutes. It's a beautiful sefer. It's a sefer of the halachos of Shabbos. And there's each page is very clearly laid out in terms of a review of the halachos of Shabbos. And this is my suggestion. Thanks to a very, very generous sponsor, we have a sefer that we provided to each and every member, every family in the kehillah will get one of these svarim, right? Free of charge. It's Leilu Nishmas Moshe ben Yosef, who's donating to memory of his father, which we're incredibly grateful for. And the idea is, it's very simple. Every Shabbos, for whether the person is, whether it's a family, whether it's an individual, whether it's a couple, something to take on. It's something so small. It takes 3 minutes, once a week, every Shabbos. Could be at the meal, sit down at the table, learn one section, which is supposed to be 3 minutes. That's why it's just 3 minutes, right? That's all it is. To learn and try and take on what you learn that week, what a kerch that would be for our kehillah. Provide this sefer to every family. We come together as a kehillah to do something. People are looking for something. What can we do? And we're going to daven, but we need all the chusim we can get. And it strikes me, if we can do this, everything about Shabbos is the ultimate bechira. It's the ultimate choice. It's the day when we choose to do the right thing and not the wrong thing. That's everything about Shabbos, right? We do Zohar, Shama, right? We choose to do the right things. So let's take that day of ultimate bechira, of ultimate free choice, and lift ourselves up and create a zchus in that way as a kehillah, by coming together and doing something together as a kehillah. Shabbos, obviously, will take a few days to get these distributed, and we're going to try and order them. We'll send out messages about this. Everything stops on Shabbos except one thing, and that is Hatzalas Nefashos, to save lives. That's what doesn't stop on Shabbos. That's what we're involved in now. We need to know that, we need to understand that, we come together, when we say Tehillim, we're going to say Tehillim now, what we're doing is, we are saving lives. We need to believe that with all our heart and soul, because when we believe that, that is the greatest, then we really have the perfect thing. We understand that every single word we say has the ability to save lives. And we're just going to say to them, I think we've got sheets, Michael. I think we have sheets for everyone and pass them around. We're going to say to them together, with the kavanah that we have. Take these ideas, take the thoughts. Let's think about what we've heard from Abeli. Let's take that chizuk, because it is chizuk what he's sharing with us. Let's take the chizuk, and it's chizuk as well of that, the immense pain of that young man to come to a basin and ask that question. Let's understand Shuvah and Tefillah and Tzedakah. Let's understand what it is we're trying to achieve. And Tefillah, let's, as they will spend out the message afterwards also about the opportunity to give tzedakah and to campaign to this cause we're supporting. And the Tshuva element as well, let's come together, change our Shabbos, to grow, to learn, to build ourselves. And that's us. May we only hear the Soros Tovos, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu send the protection that the Klal Yisrael needs, the Yeshua that we all need, and may we send a bracha to, particularly to the everything that the army is doing, the Tzva Haganah Yisrael in our minds and thoughts, every step and every moment of the day. So we're going to close the mitzvah. They free to come forward. We're going to say Chillim, followed by Abraham. Everyone got the sheet. Everyone got the sheet. Say like also. I'm not saying Miss Mara the Dobby. I'm not saying. I'm glad you're sorry. Yes, I get for shame. Hey, it's not as from kind. Shumitzion Yisodeko. If you call me the best of your lost way, that's the cell. You tell me how to go back to the palace. Slay Malay. Man, no, it's was sad. No, shame. I didn't need girl. We Malay. I do know. I come. We shall say. That's all your dad's. You share. Do you know? I'm Shifa. I name is make hot show. Divrei Chizuk. Ega vorech, ve'ega vasusem, anachnu Shem Adonai Eloheinu nazkir. Ega karetz nufol, v'anachnu kamnu v'nisoido. Yom Shia Melech Yaneinu, Yom Koreinu. Shem Yisrael also. Adam koyan soy bis yotzu al tzmunecha. Amr kovnach idek migoy v'lo yizach Hashem Yisraeloi. Inoy funei v'yato v'lecha bris yichrois. Alle Yadayim Yishmeile Moel Bagrim. Yvol V'amoil V'amalek V'ashesim Yoshveitzor. Yashashvil V'amoil Yisrael V'nei Loit Sela. Say like comedian, it's not Yavin Benachal Kichdai. Nishmud Vein Dar, or you diamond or Adama. Say my Divrei my Kairi with his a because of Salmuna calling Sikhaimai. There's so it's nice that Ja, ich ist immer ich gal gekash לפני רוח. I go out now, but I hate sorry. Getting to the famous Sarah, all the supposed festival. Valley Fname Color, Bakshu Shimcha Doino. It was before the Aliyah through the Obedu. Yeah, so Shimcha, the oil of the Hoy of Color. Sarah Malay, Oil of Sorossi, Karossi, Bayane. No, I have to she's Sheker, Miloshin, say the form I used to block Loshin, say you are shouldn't even got Haley Summit. Carts Melshek, Shohanti Mole Kido. Shokno Nafshim Senation. Shiva Malai, Soina, Elhorim, behind the boys, you say Shemayim Rain la boy tragla salionum shimera. Shon Shemer Yisrael. Father, no, it's in the fire, Yadimina. Hashem Shriakeko, Vioreach Valoilo. Yishmomi Kolro, Yishmores Nafshecha. It's over Yaakov, Yatov Yadoilo. Amakim Krossi Adoilo. Shibab Koini, Tienos Necho Kashubois, the Koil Tachan. Shmario. I know I need I keep a son of sheep and it borrow Adonai, Kim Adonai, Chesed, Varbei, Moifdo. Israel, Mikoil, Adonai,
Good days.
Here soy amoros filos. Here Adonai ezod, Koili Adonai eschano. Eshvayich lefonov sichi, Tzorosi lefonov agir. Ve'esatei polai ruchi, ve'atzoy daton sivosi, baratzu halech tom nufachi. Yomim Eni bakir, oval monois mimeni, ein Divrei nafshi. Tuakti einecha Adonai, omarti atomachsi chalki beretz achayim. Taloi simai, Hatzileni meroit fag yamatzu mimeni. Masker nafshi loidois es shemecha biachtiru tzadikim ki sigmoi the final middle of Merk Tzadi Allah Yushu B'Seisa will say together. Our hearts go out and our fill us with those who are held hostage in captivity. Misha Berach Aviseinu Avram Yitzchak Yaakov Yosef Moshe Aaron David and Shlomo who Yivorech v'Yishma v'Yinsar as Nedrei Tzvah Haganah Yisrael Shviyov Ves Kol Achenu and Asunim Torah v'Shivya V'Avu Shekol HaKol HaKadosh Azeh Mispala Ba'avuram HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimoni Rachamim Aleihem V'Yotziyem Yichoshech V'Tzalmoves V'Mishusayim V'Atzekim V'Tzukosayim Yishay Shiyim V'Shivei Meher L'Chet Mishpachosayim Yodel Adonai Chasdov V'Nefloi Sov B'nei Odom V'Kiyam B'Haim Mikroshek Al-Sul V'Priya Adonai Yeshuvim V'Vol Tzion V'Rina V'Simchas Olam Al-Rishon Sosoin V'Simcha Yasigu V'Nosu Yogoin V'Hamachav V'Neimar Omein. Here's some words now from afterwards we'll finish with our page. She mentioned, sorry, I think from the release, but there could be some elements for only serving an idea from the broke on stuff.
Who would believe that just a few days ago was Zman Simchateinu? And every year, when it comes to Zman Simchateinu, Pesach and Shavuos, we recite the beautiful Tefillah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has chosen us, distinguished us, sanctified us. And I've always asked myself, what is it about us that you have chosen? How are we distinguished? What changes us? What distinguishes us from everyone else in the world? I think that perhaps in the past couple of days, I might have found an answer to my question. The Gemara in Yevamos, Ein Tet, talks about the characteristics of a Jew. We are told that we are modest, we are merciful, and maybe above all we are goimlei chasodim. We care, we're kind, we do chesed, we support one another. And the Gemara goes on to quote the Pasuk. Where do we learn this from? We learn it from Avram Avinu. Ashas Vayera. Idatim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows. L'man asher yitzavet banav, Avram Avinu will instruct and will teach and will educate his children and his household. The Shamru Derech Hashem, they would uphold the way of Hashem. And what is the way of Hashem? Doing tzedakah, doing mishpat, chesed and justice. That is who we are. That is our people. And we should be proud of it at these moments. Today, in Melt Hashem will be a turning point. The Israeli government has united. A united front to fight our enemies. Something I wouldn't be able to fathom just a few days ago. And now it's a reality. We're sitting together, coalition, opposition, and we are united. And the level of Gemilus Hasodim, and I've only heard about maybe a drop in the ocean of what's going on, is second to none. That is what distinguishes us. Many of you have teenagers at home. And what happens when a teenager doesn't have school to sleep in? You'll try and get them up, you'll try and get them to do something. Our teenagers across the country are making us proud. They are volunteering, supporting, ensuring that every father that went to Miluim will have someone at home supporting the children, will have someone to be there for the family, are volunteering to pack food, are volunteering to support the people down south, are volunteering to go down south, sit in the chadarim memuganim and play with the children. Kaitanot for the children in small groups because they can't go to school. Hasidic Jews stood at JFK with a credit card, spending $500,000 on every soldier that wanted to travel to Israel to serve in the Israeli army. 300,000 volunteers to Miluim. Mi kamcha Israel goy echad ba'aretz. I contacted them, not that they need me, and they told me I'm on a waiting list. I'm on a waiting list because they have so many people. This is the strength of our people. That is the strength of our nation. That is the actors that we are finally demonstrating. That is our true potential. Because I ask myself, what it's about. I can't say that we're all Talmidei Chachamim. I can't say that we're all observant, but yes, I can say that we're all people of Chesed. We can all go out there and do something. We can daven, we can contribute, we can give our time, we can give our effort, we can give our tefillos. We can make that difference. And the story for me that really reflected this value on the highest possible madrega. This is Lemala Mider Hateva. I cannot do justice to this story. Is the story of Rachel and David in Ofakim. It's a mitzvah lefarsim, mamash, mitzvah lefarsim. Everyone should know this story. When the terrorists were going from door to door and shooting families, murdering mothers and children, they reached the house of Rachel and David, and they shoot their way through the door, and they hold them at gunpoint. And at that point, Rachel said, "Do you want to eat and drink?" No person has walked in through this door and left hungry, and you are no exception. My Hachnasat Orchim is to welcome every person. That is the standard that I will uphold at this time. Are you hungry? They tie a grenade to her head while she takes the Shabbos and Yom Tov lunch and serves them. And that is what saved her life. It bought her time for the soldiers to arrive. That is Klal Yisrael's strength. That is who we are. No person will walk through our door hungry. No one will stand alone, no matter if and even in any circumstances that we encounter. We will not lose touch of our values, of our strength, of us being Gonlei Chasadim. That is who we are. I shared with the Rav and Shmini Atzeres this final thought that many, many years ago, one of my first memories was asking my dear Sabbai, Sapa Mendel, the question that came to mind in Simchas Torah. I remember him on Simchas Torah dancing with the Sefer Torah and crying his eyes out. And I was a young child, probably 10 or 11, and I went up to him and I said, "Saba, why are you crying?" And he later on explained to me that Simchas Torah was the day that he was taken away from his family and never saw them again. It was the last time he saw Pato, the last time he saw his community. And it was on Simchas Torah. He said, "This is what I was doing with dancing with the Torah. They came, they took me away." And then, being a child, you ask the simple questions, the real question that twins children ask. I said to Saba, why go to shul? Why dance? You want to cry? Sit at home and cry. What's there to do in shul if you want to cry? He said, "I'm dancing because we survived." The voice say, we survived. We will persevere. Am Yisrael will continue. We will continue to believe on the Chasadim.
Just the understanding and we're singing a pain
Green card.